This is a follow-up to the video that I did on the possible loss of our religious freedom under an Obama presidency. As I mentioned at the close of that video, Jerome Corsi, the author of An Abomination, had arrived in Kenya on October 2nd, and that he was going to be investigating the ties between Barack Obama and Raila Odinga. After a few days, Jerome Corsi was going to hold a press conference in Kenya and expose some of the details that he had uncovered in his investigation. 15 minutes before he was going to go to the conference room at the hotel, he was approached by immigration officials and soldiers armed with automatic weapons. He was told that they were driving him to the airport, that they just had a few questions about his paperwork, that it would only take a few moments, and then he would be returned to the hotel in time for the press conference. The Kenyans lied to Jerome Corsi. He was held incommunicado at gunpoint without food for between 11 and 13 hours. It turns out that bribes were finally paid on his behalf. He will not say who paid these bribes or what officials were bribed for the protection of both parties involved. He was finally allowed to get on a flight to London. What Corsi had promised is that he was going to expose details of the secret ties between Barack Obama and a section of Kenyan government leaders and their connection to certain secretarial groups in Kenya and subsequent plot to be executed in Kenya should Senator Obama win the American presidency. It is interesting looking at some of the details that he has brought out in these articles on WorldNet Daily, that there are quite a few parallels between what Odinga did in Kenya and how Barack Obama has been conducting his campaign here in the United States. We all have heard about Acorn and Acorn's involvement in false voter registration and voter fraud. And it is also a well-known fact that Barack Obama has been spending up to $800,000 a month in support of the efforts of Acorn. We also are fully aware that Barack Obama constantly plays the race card. Even though he claims to be a uniter, he has in fact been fanning the flames of racial tension in this country ever since he started his campaign. There have also been rumors of the possibility of even a race war in the United States should Barack Obama not be elected. While we find parallels for all these things in the campaign of Raila Odinga, and it appears that his whole campaign was engineered by Barack Obama. And this is exactly what Jerome Corsi was planning on exposing at this press conference. As I stated, a subsequent plot that was to be executed in Kenya should Obama win the American presidency. Corsi was set to show that Obama and Odinga have been in direct contact since the senator's visit to Kenya in 2006, where he actively campaigned for him and criticized the democratic government of Kenya, which has good diplomatic ties with the United States of America. Barack Obama chose to campaign for Odinga, knowing full well that he had signed an agreement with hardline Muslims that if he were elected president, that he would rewrite the constitution of that country and that he would invoke Sharia law, that he would outlaw the public practice of Christianity. These facts are borne out not only in my videos, but many other videos that are available here on YouTube. He was also set to claim that Obama had advised Odinga on the campaign strategy that he was using, and he had also helped raise money in the United States for the Kenyan presidential campaign. Corsi was also to report Odinga's 2007 presidential campaign strategy called for exploiting anti-Kikuyu tribal sentiments, claiming victory and charging voter fraud, even if the campaign knew that the election had been legitimately lost. In other words, They were planning to claim that the election was stolen, even though they knew that it was not. And this was part of the strategy that Barack Obama had provided Odinga. Odinga, according to Corsi, also was willing to fan the flames of ethnic tribal tensions and to use violence as a last resort by calling for mass action that led to the destruction of properties, injuries, loss of life, and displacement of over 500,000 Kenyans. The purpose being to compel the Electoral Commission of Kenya to declare Odinga the winner, even though he had not won the election, to be able to declare himself the winner by force. As it stands now, Odinga has not fulfilled his entire campaign promise to the Muslims who voted for him. He continues to cause concern among the Kenyans because he has not declared his position on Sharia law as yet. And I believe that that is exactly what he has been holding off on, because no doubt when this is done, there will be another riot and more genocide against the Kikuyu tribesmen who do not support Odinga and his Orange Democratic movement. And as I stated before, that is the subsequent plot that is to be executed in Kenya if Obama is elected to the presidency. In other words, he could count on Barack Obama siding with him in any dispute that arises in that country. And so what proof does Jerome Corsi have? What was he able to carry with him out of Kenya? He has copies of actual emails between Barack Obama's Senate office with a go-between that Barack Obama set up, and Raila Odinga. Thanks to WorldNet Daily, here is an image of one of the initial contact letters dated on December 22nd of 2006, after Barack Obama had returned from campaigning for Odinga in Kenya. And in this letter, hopefully you can read this, it states, "Hello, brother. I will kindly wish that all our correspondence be handled by Mr. Mark Lippert. I have already instructed him. This will be for my own security, both for now and in the future." In other words, Raila was receiving instructions from Barack Obama via Mike Lippert, so that he had someone to throw under the bus and distance himself if the news of this had ever come out. Both Barack Obama and Odinga are communists, and they are working in concert to try and bring forth and put into practice an ideology that was passed on to them by their fathers, an ideology that was totally rejected by the Kenyan government in the past, and now both of these men are once again walking in the footsteps of their fathers, trying to bring about communism in both of our nations. Thanks for listening.